Well, a lot of that was taken from my own experience because I never thought when I was younger that one day I would end up caring for a parent. And in fact, in my own case, my mother became ill first of all, and she died when she was 81. And my dad moved in with me. He never went home after the funeral. And so for me, and as I'd been widowed young, having my dad there, and he'd been my mum's carer, so I'd been spared a lot of that until the very end. And so it was my chance to have some wonderful time with my dad. My dad and I was an only child. I was a child of a mixed race marriage. He brought my mother from Calcutta. She was Anglo-Indian. And he lost his job with the British company because he dared to marry an Anglo-Indian woman. And he brought her back and introduced her to his family who lived in Plymouth. And it was a big deal. Now that I'm in my 60s, I think of my mother who came over. What she must have had to... She came to Britain when they were still rationing. She came out of India after partition and had to run to the hills to escape because she had reported a murder that she'd witnessed. And so she had a fatwa declared upon her. So, I mean, my parents' own life, I don't know about other people, but I get more interested as to where I've come from and who my forebears were as I get older. In fact, just last week I had a cousin phone me up to come and stay with me, and I posted on an Anglo-Indian website in 2002, and she found my post 17 years later, and it turned out we were related, and she had the only photograph that I've got of my grandfather on my mother's side. So, I mean, with the internet, these things have been opened up. And so when I realised I would have to care for my dad, he had already spent a lot of time caring for me. And I wanted to introduce that element into Suki's story. It's something else to have to look after a parent when they've always been the parent and you've always been the child. And I wanted to explore that a bit more. And in Suki's case, her relationship with her dad was like my relationship with my dad. It was a very affectionate and warm relationship. But that wasn't how it was always in my childhood. And so those things, sometimes people who become carers, and I met a lot of carers while I was caring for Dad through carers in Hertfordshire. I went to a couple of coffee mornings and so forth. People have very mixed feelings about caring, and some people, of course, care for the whole of their life, because I've done quite a lot of work in the past with special educational needs children and seeing parents at Chicken Shed Theatre where I worked, for whom they will care for their child for the whole of their lives. And that's a different thing altogether. When I realised that my partner, John, and we didn't live together, when I realised that he had esophageal cancer and he was going to have to put up a fight, I said to him, I'll walk this beside you. And he said, I know that you've cared for your dad, Suzi. And he said, I don't want you to become my carer. I want you to be something different for me. And so, in a way, he let me off the hook, because I would have cared for him. But I'm glad that his sons took that role on, which allowed me to be the fun part, the one that made him laugh. Still went to all his appointments with him, but I wasn't his carer. It's not easy being carer. It can be a very lonely job. So that's why it's one of the main themes at the start of the book. So